By the time you're done this post, you're gonna understand blood pressure and what it has to do with your A1C. Your arteries are not just rigid tubes, they are living tissue that can expand or tighten based on signals that come from hormones, your nervous system, or the health of your vessel wall. And you've got to remember this, your blood vessels, that is your arteries and your veins, they are always full of blood. So what your heart has to do is to increase its pressure so it can pump that blood into a place that already is full of blood. And the heart has to pump strong enough that it can overcome that pressure from that blood that's already in that system. Think about it like you're filling up a bike tire. That bike tire, it already has air in it. And that air already exerts pressure or else you couldn't ride the bike. So if I'm gonna pump the tire with more air, I have to pump enough air with enough force to overcome the air that's rushing out of the tire. That's what your heart has to do. It has to pump with enough force to still fill that tire even though there's already pressure in it. Every squeeze of the pump adds pressure. This is your systolic pressure, that's the top number of your blood pressure. Pressure left inside of the tire between pumps, that is the diastolic pressure, the baseline pressure that the heart has to overcome in order to move the blood forward. But it's not like it can only have just above that number. There has to be enough pressure that it moves forward, but moves enough blood forward for it to support life. So you see that the diastolic pressure is usually a lot lower than the systolic pressure. That's the reason. Now here's where the A1C ties in. Let's go back to the tire. What the A1C does is give you a stiffer tire. So not as much air can go in as easily. So that's going to make it harder for your heart to pump. And this does this by glycating proteins that are on the vessel walls, and this can make the vessel stiffer, especially with enough time and enough sugar over a long time. So you don't want a high A1C over a long time because this causes problems. And if the vessel walls are stiffer, it becomes harder for them to relax between heartbeats. So this creates problems for the heart because the dynamics of your circulatory system have changed. And where I get concerned with when I work with people who present with high blood pressure is I get worried about kidneys because your kidneys have very delicate vasculature, especially those parts that are called the glomeruli. Those parts are very tiny and very delicate. And lots of pressure is not good for them because it can cause scarring over time. They're not built for super high pressure. So I really need that pressure to go back down. So one of the more helpful things that you can be doing in the background other than medicine is to start doing more cardiovascular activity, slow and steady preferable, especially if you have a particularly delicate situation. You don't want to overload the heart, you just want to train it so that it can respond better to increased demands for oxygen and other types of energy. And this cardiovascular